Hey guys, welcome back to Becoming a Better Yu-Gi-Oh player and thanks for sticking around. Today will be a recap of my last locals and playtesting experiences. If you have any questions or critiques, be sure to leave them in the comments. As we get closer to the regional this Sunday, I've been testing a lot of changes to see what feels good and bad in the deck. This episode will focus on those changes and the deck as a whole. Since the last video, I've played in 3 locals tournaments and did some playtesting with my friends to prepare for this weekend. I played the same fish deck for the 2 local events and had mixed results. I tried out a goofy strategy yesterday, but I won't be going into much detail about it in this video. While playing over the last week, I tried running some different cards to see how they would feel in the deck. There were some good changes, but the bad changes left a sour taste in my mouth. The first of these changes was adding Dimension Shifter to the main deck and cutting back 1 Angler and 1 Shift to make room. At first you may think adding Shifter is a no-brainer because some of my cards want to get banished, however, this is not the case. The Goatee monsters need their graveyard in order to get the most out of them and keep up the Fish Infinite resource hack. Although it was nice to see Shifter in a matchup like Snake Eyes, it never won me the game. When it was in my opening hand, I could effectively skip my opponent's turn, but I could not set up my own game-winning board or push for enough damage under its effect. It would essentially result in me going first with only 4 cards in hand, a neutered board, and hoping that my opponent couldn't kill me. This feels even worse when you draw it in combination with a second Shifter, another dead card, or worse, drawing it for your turn going second. Ultimately, the card does more harm than good for my deck, so I decided to take it out. After testing, I also moved Typhon to the side deck in place for a Nightmare Phoenix, so I had a way to discard Nimble Angler and out back row. Typhon never won me the game on its own and honestly felt like it just stalled for an extra turn before I lost. Don't get me wrong, it is a strong card, but not in every matchup. Having another week of playing the deck under my belt, I've made a pros and cons list that I feel is accurate for the deck. While prepping for the regional, I'll need to keep these in mind when finalizing my list. Let's dive into the pros. The deck can consistently play through 1 or 2 hand traps. The end board might be toned down a little bit, but it'll still get the job done, especially if you have 1 or 2 hand traps of your own. Another thing is that most monsters you summon demand interaction as soon as they hit the field, so you have a 1 card combo in Leafish, and if they don't Imperm or Valor or Ash the Leafish, you get huge pluses off that because you can send Angler or you can send Shift depending on what you already have on the field. If they interact with that, then you can go into a Keef, and then you can go into a Sprint, and the Sprint demands interaction, and then you can starter, you can do like any of the Sprite cards in hand, those demand interactions. So if you have like a pretty good hand, you can play through a lot of stuff while still getting rid of your opponent's hand traps. The deck is also pretty good at going second. One thing you can do is if you open a Nimble Sunfish, you can just summon it and then crash into something and special another Sunfish while sending Angler in the damage step, so they can't negate it unless they negate the activation, so it can be a really easy way to generate bodies while playing through interactions on your opponent's board. The deck is also pretty consistent. It rarely generates a hand that you have completely nothing to do. There are a lot of 2 card combos and 1 card combos that you can do that at least leave you with something even if you get hand trapped. Now that we've gotten through some of the good things about the deck, let's get into the bad stuff. There are some Garnets in the deck. Nimble Angler and Zep are the main 2. Angler in your opening hand sucks, but you can still play. Zep, you really don't want to open in your hand because it turns off your Arion post-play on your opponent's turn. Snopios is awkward, and opening double Sunfish can be weird, but it works just fine. The ceiling for the end board is not that high. You can end on a few interactions and a bunch of Goatee combos, but there's nothing that's going to win you the game. You'll still need to use everything at the right time in order to beat a good opponent. The extra deck is also pretty tight, needing to run Synchros for the Goatees and then 2 Gigantic, 2 Sprint to make sure you can get your Sprite plays off no matter what, even on like turn 3 or 4. There's not much room for variation, and you might need to even run some things in the side deck to swap out. The deck is pretty one-dimensional, which makes it beatable by opponents that know what your deck does. This is also like compounded by the fact that the Goatee cards, if your opponent knows how to interact with them, say like Imperming in the standby phase, it can be pretty tough. The crossouts help out with that, but it's still obvious what you're going to do every single game. There's no like weird line that they're not going to expect. This is the current deck list I'm running. Some changes I've made are taking out Sykes because he's just a brick and a Nim Magnet. I put in 2 extra Shift to make 3 because Shift plus any level 2 extender is still the combo. I've put in a second Jet and then made the list 42 so I could fit more non-engine and hide the bricks. I've also changed the side deck by putting in a Bestial package and then putting Excel Stardust in the extra, so you can go Bestial plus a tuner to make Excel and then go for like Baron or something. It's pretty good. I think this is the deck I'm going to be settling with for the regional, and I'll let you guys know how it goes.